ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਯੂਐਸ ਮਾਈ ਦੇਖਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਵੀਰ ਭੈਣ ਭਰਾਵਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਸਭ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਅੱਜ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਪ੍ਰਸਿੱਧ ਪਰਸਨੈਲਿਟੀ ਆ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਹ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਕਲ ਅਰੀਨਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਜੀਓ ਪੋਲੀਟਿਕਸ ਦੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਵਰਲਡ ਵਾਈਡ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲ ਗੈਸਟ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉਹ ਅੱਜ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਇੰਟਰਵਿਊ ਤੇ ਆਏ ਨੇ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਹੈਗਾ he is Gunther Verlinger, strategic advisor and a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council. He is leading Voice on Transatlantic Relations, European security, and NATO role in 21st century as a fellow at the Jerusalem Institute for Strategy and Security. He also provides a keen analysis on some of the world's most complex geopolitical landscape. Welcome to US, my sir.
Thanks a lot for the invitation.
So, given the ongoing Russian aggression against Ukraine, which has persisted for the past 3 years and is now expanding towards NATO territory, especially Poland, what are the President Putin ultimate strategic objectives or endgame?
Russia is our enemy, which is attacking us regularly now in Estonia and Poland, and we must declare Russia as our enemy, as a hostile state, and they are responsible for us. It's not our wish, it's their wish. They are doing all these aggressive actions, and so we look for allies, and we found that India is not an ally. India is part of the hostile alliance together with China and Iran, and is supporting actively with troops and with solidarity on the political status, but also by buying Russian oil. It's supporting Russia, and therefore we see India as part of the hostile camp. And that's why I started the campaign for ex-India, and that's also why I support the Khalistan Freedom Movement, Independence for Khalistan.
What other steps besides sending weapons to Ukraine should NATO take to stop Russia from invading more countries in Europe? Also,
No,
why is it is so important for Ukraine to join NATO?
NATO's membership for Ukraine is the only way for sustainable peace in Europe. Only within the alliance, Ukraine can be secure that we will protect her and that Russia will never attack her. And what can we do? Of course, we can send much more weapons. This is important. The Germans can send a super weapon, the Taurus. This is very important. We can also send more money. And there is very good that the Russians have 350 billion frozen in of their assets into the European system, and we can confiscate this and buy a lot of weapons from this money for Ukraine, and they will definitely win. Additionally, we can, of course, lift all the limits when it comes to the strike inside Russia, because we definitely, Ukraine has the right to strike inside Russia, and we can destroy the energy infrastructure of Russia, which Ukraine is very effectively doing already. And we can also make secondary sanctions on India and China, which we are going to do as well. And we can stop any and every import from the hostile state of Russia into the European Union. And this will lead to the complete collapse of the Russian economy, the currency meltdown like 25 years ago. And you will see this will bring Putin to its knees. He will fall, we will win, and it will be very successful.
U.S. President Donald J. Trump uh, many times mentioned that some European countries are dependent on Russian oil and gas. What is the projected timeline for European Union to achieve complete energy independence from Russian oil and gas?
The truth is, we were very dependent before the full scale invasion started. But now we have basically most of our economies, Italy, France, Germany, have already finished with Russian energy. We still have a problem in Slovakia and Hungary, which are like pro Russian run entities inside the European Union. But we will now make an end. This the official end date for Russian energy will be the beginning of 2027. And I think we are lobbying now, and the more Russia is attacking us, we will completely end Russian energy import into the European Union by the end of 2025 already. You will see things will change also in Hungary and Slovakia because Putin has bought these prime ministers and they are in his pocket, but this will change. And you will see that we will make a lot of progress. And anybody who buys Russian energy is basically hostile to the European Union and Ukraine and will pay a heavy price for that.
India is supporting Russian aggression against Ukraine and by extension European countries by buying Russian oil and also selling it to the different parts of the world. What is your take on this? Basically, this is blood money.
India today is like a smuggling ring. India under Modi is like a pirate nation. It's a kind of a rogue nation which benefits from the pain of other people like the Ukrainians and tries to make a quick, dirty buck on the cost of the Ukrainians and the Europeans. It's outrageous. It's immoral and it's against global solidarity. And it shows what kind of philosophy Mr. Modi and his foreign ministers are really adhering to. They are part of the Russian camp, and they want to make quick money. They are suppressing their own people and suppressing the Ukrainians and stepping us in the back. And Modi is a real serious problem for global security, and there will be no support for him anymore in the West. You be sure about it.
United States has put sanctions and tariffs on India, with the reason being that buying a Russian oil is a blood money. How come European countries have not taken such actions against India yet?
Look, we always think and we fall into the trap of Mr. Modi looking like Santa Claus and talking nice. He's always talking nice and friendly. And so our European politicians, our strategy since the war was to break him out of the Russian camp. And we thought he cannot be so bad. He must be a decent man. He must be as nice acting as he's talking. And then the idea was to basically try to bring him out of this camp, but it failed. And when a strategy doesn't work for 3.5 years, yeah, then it's time to change tack. And what he done in China at the meeting of the Shanghai Cooperation Council, he has shown what kind of a radical he is. And therefore, I say we must change our direction. We must dissolve and dismantle India. We must encourage the independence movement inside India. We must simply confess our strategy failed and India is on the wrong side and it's to be treated like Russia, China, and India, Iran. And yeah, that's unfortunate. I would have liked a different way as well. But it is the choice of India to do it. It's the choice of India and the Modi to do this kind of repression inside and outside and to choose the dark side of the world. And now we treat you like the hostile camp should be treated. Ex India is the answer.
Given India's strategic and often discreet diplomatic maneuvers in global conflicts, such as its role in BRICS, can India be considered as trustworthy international partner?
No, 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 never again.
So, what is your thoughts on BRICS overall? Why BRICS is there? Why it is there on wall
BRICS
page?
is a dirty group of economic kleptocrats led by Russia and China, and they want to build a different world order where markets and democracies and freedom does not count. And they have ganged up into this group out of some kind of imperialist, anti-colonial rhetoric from hundreds of years ago, and they feel comfortable with each other. And everybody who is in BRICS is the enemy. So very clear. I call on Khalistan to make it already very clear. Once you will be free, you will join the OECD free trade agreement with the European Union and be part of the free world. Because BRICS is the occupied world. It's the tyrants, it's the autocrats, it's the enemies.
You tweeted ex India, like you mentioned already many few times. and endorse the Khalistan movement. What exactly did you mean by that,
You know,
specifically,
we have many
whenever it comes
positive
to Khalistan?
experience like the dismantlement, dissolution of Yugoslavia, of the Soviet Union, and it has worked much better. Countries like Uzbekistan, Estonia, they are free now, or Croatia, Macedonia, Kosovo, and we need the same process for India. That means the internal breakup process along the administrative lines and the reorganization of statehood inside the Indian subcontinent, as it always was. Because you might remember that in the year 47, it was the Indian imperialists who have basically inherited the imperial structure of the British Empire, and they have basically conquered all these princely states, as they're called in English. But there were many, many independent nations only held together by the force of the British military and occupation troops. And the Indians, the Hindu Indians, at that time have basically continued that tradition to this day. And they have not kept the bargain of a fair deal for the people of different religions and different ethnicities, which there are so many in India. So, dissolution, dismantlement of India into ex-India, resulting probably in 20 to 30 new states. Yeah, that's a part of the negotiation. Will be much better for the Indian people, for the people. Will be much more freedom, much more security, much more prosperity. As everything that is happened in now in ex-Yugoslavia and in the ex-Soviet Union is proving that. Yeah, freedom will reign, markets will bring prosperity, and there will be security. So ex-India is something everybody in India should be very happy about it and promote it and endorse it.
Given the Khalistan movement shift from past violence to current democratic approach, as evident by ongoing referendums, how might European countries view it in the position to Indian stance?
Yeah, I fully endorse the Khalistan referendum and I support it, and it's a very good idea. I call for a yes vote and for freedom for Khalistan.
Wa- World War III is a hard topic now. It is important to remember that both World War One and World War Two, hundreds of thousands Sikhs soldiers died fighting for Allied forces against the Nazis. Shouldn't this be a strong reason for European to support an independent Punjab called Khalistan? What is your thoughts on this?
Absolutely, absolutely. I want to thank all the people from Khalistan, all the Sikh people for their support and their sacrifice for freedom and the defeat of the Nazi tyranny. And you should be awarded for that by your own freedom. That was the whole idea of all the processes of decolonization, of freedom, of anti imperialism, of the defeat of tyranny. That is the whole idea of America and of the freedom movement of the Second World War and of the fight against Soviet dictatorship. And so you should be rewarded. The problem being that this is not very well known because India has a domination in the narrative and is occupying also the heads of many Western Europeans and many people in the world because they have been able to impose their narrative on all of us. And this we must change now during the Khalistan referendum. We must explain exactly how freedom works and what is the contribution of the people of the Sikh belief and of the Khalistan movement for the freedom of the world, and what's their role and their tragic reality into this colonial empire which India under Modi is today. And therefore, ex-India must be receiving more support, and it will also be watch the space when it comes to the end of Russia, which is now coming after their defeat by us in Ukraine and the fall of Putin. You will see that exactly this fall of empires will be on the agenda. And that's the moment for Khalistan as well to claim independence. And I hope that many countries in the West will recognize Khalistan as they have recognized North Macedonia, Croatia, Ukraine, Estonia, Kosovo, and all these beautiful free countries. They have emerged from such colonial empires in the past, and now it's time for Khalistan to rise and to be an independent republic again.
How do you see the future of Khalistan in the terms of being part of NATO alliance with either military or military non-military membership?
Look, for outside European countries, we have the global partnership, like Colombia and Pakistan is a global partner of the NATO. This is the first step. But even more important than the security, which is very important, but it's also the OECD, the Union of the Free Democracies of the World. And this is for Khalistan to aspire. And in fact, you have a lot of citizens, you have a lot of natural resources, and every nation can succeed. You will be very successful once you have decided to join to be a free market democracy, and you will be very successful, I guarantee you. And I will also support you. And the way forward is very simple. You join the World Trade Organization, you join the UN, you join the OECD, you join the OSZE, you join all the other organizations which we have in the world to stabilize emerging new economies and countries. And it will be done the same way like for Croatia, for Ukraine, for Estonia. And we have now a lot of experience with such support mechanisms, and don't worry, it will be all fine.
What can you tell Sikh community around the world? How important is Khalistan referendum? This
I think
exercise
it's very
happening around the
important
world.
because it shows your commitment to peace and peaceful transition towards independence. It's very much the contrary to an armed terrorist freedom fight. It's the political, free, peaceful struggle for legitimacy, for exile government. And I can just recommend you, I can just endorse it, I can just support it. And that's the way forward.
What what do you think about India role in this Ukraine Russia war and for the long term period? How do you say how that will turn out in future?
Sorry, can you repeat?
How do you see India role in Ukraine Russia war they as playing right
No,
now?
India will even much more involve in a pro-Russian proxy and will ever more be tighter closing its destiny with Russia, and therefore will fall into pieces together with Russia. So for me, that's a tragic choice. But for Khalistan, maybe it's the road to freedom because Modi made his most strategic ever mistake in his life by aligning with Russia, and he will ever more be drawn in this kind of existential survival fight of the Russians, and he will be totally going down with the Russians. Very sad, but his choice.
This is a personal last question I would like to ask. I know you like to work out. We've seen your videos on Twitters, and you always give advice for uh, healthy lifestyle. What advice you can give to young audience listening to you out there whenever it comes to health and working out
I want to give,
lifestyle?
thanks a lot for this question. I want to give a very optimistic and great message, because the world is free and we can be very successful. And the responsibility of everybody is to be optimistic, and we can achieve freedom, we can achieve progress, and we can achieve prosperity and self determination of the Khalistan people. And as well, individually, everybody can be successful. It's just, a question of positive energy, will, and the will to fight for freedom and also for self improvement in many ways. And this is also expressed by me promoting a healthy lifestyle, not to drink too much, to eat healthy, and of course to be in the gym and to be active in life, to be successful, and to contribute to the development of our great world, where we will be all united in this responsibility. And therefore, it's also good to work out in the gym. And I enjoy it, and I share it with you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your time. For behalf of whole team of USMI, I would like to really thank you for your time. Thank you, sir.
You are very welcome, and best regards, and for freedom of Khalistan. Long live the Khalistan Republic, ex-India. Let's work together.
Khalistan, Jindabad. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time.
Bye. Thank you.
ਪਾਤੇ ਮਿੱਠੀਏ